So, Stefan, I think you have also made some MDR projects actually. So you have maybe some kind of structure regarding how to do that. I wanted to propose, as I've said, kind of a slide deck just to explain how I think it could go. But as I've said, it's really something that we can discuss together. So for people that are really driving a project, for me, the first step is really to have the diagnostic phase, I call it. Some people are calling that just the gap assessment, but I prefer maybe a fancy word, the diagnostic phase, which makes it more interesting. And here on the diagnostic phase, I see, so as I said, the gap assessment, but the objective for me would be to review the company situation. For example, there are companies that are inside or outside Europe, that companies that are already having everything set up, means they have already an ISO 13485, they have already products that are MDD, or companies that are just a startup and have nothing and we have to do for everything from zero. To look also at the quality management system, if they have an ISO 13485 quality management system, the product technical documentation, if they have something already available or not, if they have some clinical data also, because now it's really important to have that. If they have some economic operators, if they are outside Europe, for sure they have. If they are inside Europe, maybe they don't. So it's something also to look at. And also if they have a notified body. This can be a tricky question because maybe people will say, yes, I have, but it's not qualified for MDR. So it's like you don't have for now. So it's more a question for them. So do you see related to this review something that is interesting, or maybe some information to provide to the people here?
Oh yeah, yes, all of them is really very interesting. Because of the timeline, we all have problems with timelines, and with a review. If you go on the review, for me, as if I make an external assessment in the diagnostic phase in the gap assessment, I really look with two eyes, two times into the timeline once they want to give, which is a this comes with an export with a portfolio optimization as well. Do they have all the time allocated? And then comes the next critical point, because then comes resources.
Yeah.
That is really, really important. And resources leads me to training. Training leads me to the quality management system and the overall. So that is the spot where I look forward and looking towards.
Yeah, no, it's clear. And as you mentioned, for one thing, maybe to emphasize is regarding the portfolio optimization. Some advices I give to some of the companies is first to really ask themselves a question. Are they really selling those products or not? Because if they have 300 products, and they are saying to me, yeah, we have to move all the 300 to MDR. I said to them, think twice maybe, because it will cost you a lot of money for maybe something that you are not selling at all. So there is no return on investment. So I think the first thing before maybe to start a project is really to make a portfolio optimization. I mean, the quality management system, anyway, you have to modify it. But for the product technical documentation, before really to go through that, check, are you maybe selling one product every year, which is it worth it to have that product on your portfolio, and maybe to remove that. But yeah, it's something that people are not thinking from the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. And but that's especially from I'm from Germany. We have many handcrafted and single devices which are only used once or twice a year. So especially these products have a very high likelihood to get away from the market. But that's a problem which we have with MDR, but we cannot solve that. It's a regulatory framework gives that problem. So it is there, and it's up to the manufacturer to not only look costs, but also look at, okay, are we the only one having that kind of product? And if we are the only one having that kind of product, well, is it sometimes beneficiary for us a patient and also from the economic world to have that product still in market, even if they do not earn the big money with it? So some kinds of, yeah, how can you call it? It's, yeah, for free or something like that.
Okay. So in terms of, okay, so I'm just looking now. I think, yeah, LinkedIn has, it's not really good. I mean, the interface I have here for the LinkedIn Live is not good because on the interface for LinkedIn, I don't have all the comments, but apparently when I'm looking on my phone, there is a lot of comments. Hello, I'm from Kuwait. Hussein, it works. We hear you well. Yes, that's working. Good afternoon from Bucharest, from Christina. Good afternoon from Egypt, Hani. Good evening from Prakash, from Paris, Laetitia Jabri. So thank you everybody. So now it's great. I see you. So I will use my phone, so you will see jumping from here to the phone. So if you have any, also if you have any question or things that you want to raise, so let me know so that I can see that on the chat and try to answer to that or ask you, Stefan, if you can help me to answer. Okay, one thing, so for me, the diagnostic phase, the objective of the diagnostic phase is really to have this workload evaluation. It's not to do the work, it's really to define how much work we need, and as you maybe mentioned, the timeline, because there are some customers that are asking how much does it cost for making this kind of project, and you cannot know without having kind of this diagnostic phase a bit to see how much what is the gap, if the gap is huge or not, and then how much estimated time is needed to correct all this. I made some mistake on some of my projects. I estimated too less time, but it was really more time. So it was. It's also the risk that we are taking as a consultant to say yes, here is I think what will be the estimation, and I think the customers are really looking for that to make a budget for their project. But yeah, sometimes it can take more time, not because you didn't evaluate well, it's just because something arrived in the middle. For example, I have also an example here is about Brexit. So I have a company that now is is going to have to be dealing with Brexit. So maybe there is things also to update related to their situation. So, but yeah, it's political. It's one of the pitfalls that I had with Angelina on my interview with Angelina. Okay, so then after the diagnostic phase, so maybe we can go through the next step, which is the project team. One of the pitfalls that also we discussed with Angelina is the fact that we need to have a project, a real project, not just a side hustle or something that people are thinking, oh, let's go for a small project. No, it's really a real project. And for that, we have many, as you mentioned, for now, is define the resource needed. So which resource is needed for that? And I have a good deliberate cartoon here where they are talking about bad resources, if I can say. But here they are saying mainly put more time with the bad resources and maybe it will become good resource or good outcome. So it's a bit funny, this one. So the resource is important because I think one person or one SME cannot really answer all the questions for the MDR project. There is a lot of things related to technical, quality management system, economic operators, purchasing, suppliers, etc. So at the end, you don't have the person who can really answer everything. So is it the same case that you have on your project?
Yes, absolutely. As a consultant, I always say, yes, I can fix all your problems.
Yeah.
So, and there are limitations. And a good SME is an SME, subject matter expert. So that means he's good in his subject. So you need to really find out, okay, what kind of products from the portfolio, everything which is left from the portfolio optimization, what is there, how you can move forward, and which kind of people you need. And you always need at least one SME from each area you have in your business. So you need one from training for or from HR department, something like that. Why? It will not be the best person at first. However, it will be a very valuable partner at the end. So the project team don't only have the working stakeholders, but also those will bring the influencers in the company. So you need also them, and there's the many times I've seen that they have been not used or not harvested sufficiently. So also you take everyone from each department you have, one person, and try to find more SMEs if you want.
Yeah, no, I think it's exactly that. I had some customers asking for if I can completely do their clinical evaluation report and I was saying to them, I can explain you how to do that. I know exactly the different stages to go through, etc. But I'm not qualified enough on your product to define really if it's safe or not, because I don't know specifically how to use it exactly. So it's also why we need those SMEs to really help us to go on the direction, and to, we can help them also to say, yes, the information that you are providing is valuable, and we can put that inside. But as a consultant, we cannot know how is working a pacemaker, or how is working a knee implant, or how is working a scanner. I mean, it's something that would be a bit difficult for us. So did you had also those kind of cases?
Yes. Well, for pacemakers, I have a decent knowledge, but not for implants, for example. So there's a limitation. There's also the personal background limitation, and that's why you need the perfect guys to sit together and work together. It's a project. But what is very, very important, you should always define the project as a start and the end. That is something which has been forgotten on many projects. They say, okay, we need to be MDR compliant. Yes. When? Yeah. So in the diagnostic phase, you really need to go on a target. That is one of my crucial steps, to find a target and find the last step when you say, okay, this is the time to celebrate. Ah, yeah. And the project team, you need to celebrate very often. You will have a very hot travel and very hot journey. So celebrate, celebrate, celebrate.
No,
That
it's
is
great. It's exactly that, yeah, because I think there will be so many things on the way, so many obstacles, so many things that maybe you are missing or not considered, and now you have to put that inside, so you have to go back, etc. This can be a difficult journey. So as you mentioned, really celebrate everything. I'm sure this will not be perfect, but the objective is really to go as far as possible on this regulation. I mean, this is something that is also interesting, is the fact that it's a regulation, that it's new. So we don't have a lot of experience on that. So it's not like we are a master expert on MDR, because when we'll go through audit, we'll say, oh, we didn't consider that, or we didn't interpret that on the same way. So you should really make it as much as possible, but not need to think that it will be 100% perfect.
That's right. I'm one of my favorite certification board leaders from a notified bodies told me he's very old now, and he told me, yeah, he passed the electrophysical regulation in 1986. Then came the MDD in 1993. We still are alive. So it will be also after MDR, we will stay alive. So no worries, we will get that. And then comes my favorite Italian guy, Pareto.
Okay.
Make 18%, make 80%, and then try
Exactly.
up to 90. You do
Exactly.
not get the 100%, but don't aim the 100%, aim 90 and get it as fast as possible.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, so here, having an established project with deliverables, what exactly you need to get, some kind of planning is really important. Having also regular meetings with the people to see the progress, where you are blocked, so that maybe the management or sponsor can help you to move forward. And also one thing is about when you have this kind of project, to don't forget to also mention that during your management reviews, to show that you are what is the progress of this throughout this report, because each major change on your quality management system should be described also on your management review, and assessed that you are doing that correctly. So this is also something important. Okay, after we have the notified body. So which notified body is available? So we have still the Nando database. Actually, we have 9. I think I talked about that during last live. There is 3 apparently that are on the way to be on the Nando database. We still don't know which ones. But yeah, this is, I think, an important thing is for you to know which notified body will be your notified body, if you don't already know about that. I know it's difficult. It's not something that is easy, because I know that I heard a lot of people that say to me, we contact them, but they don't answer, or they say just apply and you will see. So it's like a lottery. So maybe they should apply to all notified bodies and see which one will answer first. It can be also a good story, but yeah, is this also some situation you have?
Yes, I have one notified body who told me, yeah, we know about your problems. We know that you are in line, and we have fixed you into the queue to be very, very front. But we do not have official papers to make sure that we can take the offer in the correct way. What? You don't have the papers to make me a quotation? You're kidding. Then I just sent him anything that I want this, that, and this. And then I got a quotation, which is a bit bumpy, but it's okay. It's 80%, not 100%, but 80% is sufficient. So that is so funny. And if you have small companies and you know there are many other small companies in your, for example, a kind of cluster or area, and many small startups know each other, combine. You do not get certification all together in the same timeline. So make your one quality system, share it on all that spots, and because many of them are so software only products, you only have one scope and one technical file. Make share resources. Be clever. And then 1 year later on, you still have it under one company on the market, and then share it, and then go 1 year after the other. So it's not if we all want to pass through one door, it will not work. So, but we can go after another.
So if in the audience you have some stories also maybe about your notified body, or if you have some questions, maybe just raise that. So I'm looking now at the chat. So hello Valentina, Umesh, hello, Mikael, hello. So yeah, just raise that. One thing I wanted to say is mainly that as soon as you have your notified body, or you know you have your notified body, align also your project with the notified body timeline. Because if you are trying to rush within the next 3 months to have a documentation MDR certified, but the notified body will come to see you in 6-7 months, then you will maybe pay more for an MDR project because you are trying to rush things, and maybe it will not be perfect when you really can maybe raise the 6 month timeline. Do you know approximately how long it takes actually to get? I think we had this question on one of the chat group that we are part of. How long a certification can take?
Well, how long certification can take, it's infinite. But a good start is to calculate currently with 12 months. If you're good, and good means really, really good and clever, then you can drop it to 7 months. That is best case I can currently guess for. But 7 months is fair. If you have a good contact to the notified body, if they know you, then 6 months is fair.
So 7 months is to get the audit and to get the certificate.
To get through the audit, and then you after that there's a very, very painful waiting period, because you know you passed everything, you know your technical file is correct, you know everything is done, and then you need to wait and wait and wait until someone of the supervisors and the certification board signs it.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah, it's also always a surprise. It's the fact that you pass the audit, you have no observation, but there is still a board that has to review the audit and confirm that all what was done during the audit is correct, and then sign it, and it can take some months. For me, it was taking 3 months, I think, to get that. But yeah, maybe it's more now with the MDR or ILS. I don't know for that. I mean, we have no experience for now on this.
And that is the perfect moment. If you have passed your audits and your technical file assessment, if you have passed all of them, bug your notified body. You really need to annoy them, because then it will be faster. It will be faster. But first, go on the way and say, okay, we need an audit quite fast. After the audit and the technical file assessment, after stage 2 is completely done, annoy, and bug them.
Exactly. So sorry for all the notified bodies that are listening now. So, yeah, but apparently this is the only solution for some of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the solution we can take now. And if someone of the notified body is listening, he just can come around, and we drink some beer or wine or whatever. And then if he has a better method, then yeah, please.
Exactly. So in terms of certificate expiry date also, because there is some companies that have a transition period, maybe until 2022, 2023, 2024. So for those ones that are not expecting any change of their products after the date of application, they can still have time, if I can say, to start their project. Yeah, don't take too much time and thinking that, yes, we have still maybe 2 or 3 years to do that. Because there is still some elements that are applicable. I'm not sure anymore now because of Udemy that is not live, but there is a lot of things that normally should be applicable, like registration of economic operator, like PMS, etc., etc. But now that Udemy is not live, so I don't know if it's still applicable or not.
Well, says certification is a transition period and the expiration date. That is always day by day a very, very hard thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are so many specific conditions you need to walk through in the Article 120, where you really go significant change or which is a specific transition, and is my certificate valid for the following products? Is it the scope valid? There are certificates on the market which are really bound to a specific product.
Yeah.
Listed with the word product, and then also there are there are certificates on the market which are, well, very open with only with the focus on the scope. If you have focus on the scope, then it's quite easy, then you can go forward. If it's bound on the product, then it's quite hard. Okay, Robert van Boxtel and Alma Karov, yes. Annoying is not the correct thing, but but sometimes it's not sufficient enough to be nice, and sometimes you need to go a bit of more bugging ways than being nice. But yeah, in general, you should be nice.
Yeah. So I see, the comment of Robert van Boxtel, so regarding the don't annoy them, just push. So it's good. So thank you, Robert. So Robert will be also, I'm preparing a podcast also with Robert. So thank you for this comment. Okay. So next thing also is plan the audit. So some companies are trying to first be MDR compliant, if I can say, before to talk with their notified body. So do you think they should talk with the notified body as soon as they start the project, or they have to wait to make everything available?
As the discussion and the communication with notified body is one of the first things within the project schedule, because that is your termination point of the project schedule. Notified body audit is very, very important, and so you need to have that date and completely corrected and correct and everything fixed. Well, most everything fixed to work towards it. Making your documentation ready for MDR and then waiting to and then communicating with the notified body is the wrong direction. Well, one specific condition happens now, and that is we do not have a notified body at the moment, and you need it, but you need also to be ready for MDR. So in this case, if the notified body is not 100% on the right way, then you should still prepare. But if you can align with the audit, do that quite first.
So I think the difficulty here is also that imagine that you have a notified body. This notified body is on the line now to be MDR certified, but it's not MDR certified, so it is maybe coming later. But you have maybe a chance to move with another notified body that is already MDR certified and has a timeline. So there is also this kind of strategy that the company has to evaluate.
Yes, I only recommend that in the way if we need a new product on the market which we cannot push by MDD, it need to go with MDR, and the notified body we currently have has a very high likelihood to fail. Then I would go that way, else I would not do that, because it will not make the communication with your existing notified body better in any way.
Okay, good. So no blackmailing. So great.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Take me first in line, or I will quit you and go to the other one.
I've seen companies who did that, and then there was the answer, okay, quit the contract.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay, so yeah, it's not working. So do not do that.
No. most contracts have payments which are specifically needed. So no, it does not a good. It's not a good style, and you should not use it.
Yeah. Okay, next step is the quality management system. So we talked about that also during one of our podcasts. So the question is the company has already an ISO 13485? If it has, it can be great. Then you have to include the regulatory requirements inside your quality management system. It's still a bit painful because you have to go through each procedure one by one. You have to look at each text. You have to remove all the MDD references, put the new MDR references. I saw on many of my procedures the essential requirements wording mentioned, so I have to remove that to put GSPR at the place. So there is it's really a process that I thought it will take not so long, but it's really painful. To be honest, it's really painful because you have procedures, then you have work instructions, then you have formulas, then you have records, then you have all those things, and you have to go through all the pyramid, if I can say, to look at all that and correct that. Do you have the same situation?
Mostly, yes. Since we do that all day for our clients, we use Solar. Solar is a search engine which is Java based, can be installed quite fast on every system. That's quite cool. And then we index the complete files, all files, it's a complete folder. And then we have a list of around 100 keywords which has been changed by MDD to MDR. And then we only filter with that keyword listing to make sure what we already have in which word is used in which procedure and which following document, blah, 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 all lined down. And that makes it faster to get on the right assessment. So it helps me implementing it. However, it's half of the way. Because the other half will be what is not changed, but is additionally, and the additional topics, they are also very, very important. And by that, you need to have everything in line from MDR, which you haven't done already. So with your gap analysis, use a good gap analysis tool, take that, make sure you have all the needed keywords, and then go line by line.
Okay. So
change will be fast, but adding is for me some more important thing.
Yeah. And one thing is also important is the PRRC, person responsible for regulatory compliance. There is still some questions about that. Is it the same as the management representative? And the answer is no. I mean, in terms of responsibility, it's no. Can I have many PRRC in my company? And the answer is yes. You can define a PRC for each section. I mean, the combination of all the PRC should do the role of one of what is written on the MDR. So it's also something to have. If you are outside of Europe, you need also to have a PRC, and you need to have a PRC also within your authorized representative. So it's two PRC for you. So I think the role or the job or the business of PRC will increase. We should maybe open just a company just of PRCs and share that with everybody. I don't know.
In Germany, we have the very nice situation that we have a safety representative already. The Sicherheitsbeauftragter. That is something like the person responsible for regulatory compliance light. It does not has all the functionality, but it has some kind of it. So that means that most German companies already have some kind of a role. So in this case, we just need to enhance the role. So we have already a person, nearly the same qualification needed. And then it's one thing. There's nowhere written in the regulations that there needs to be specific training carried out by a notified body or an academy of a notified body. It's just not written in the company. In the legislation, in the law, in the regulation at all. I'm just getting now in a mental conflict because I have also read the comment. Yes, Robert, I can do a PRC for companies. That's possible, depending also only on the
question is not can you. The question is, will you be a PRC?
Yeah, I will. Yes.
Okay.
So sorry, it's reading on two screens is fixing up the mind.
As I said, we are learning.
No, so in Germany it was not so bad But for other countries, they don't have that kind of role. In this case, they need to add the role person responsible for regulatory compliance. And it is possible to do that in a very good way. For example, many quality management representatives have a clue what they need to do, and they have already the decent knowledge. So they have the perfect fit for the role, but there is a gap with the technical documentation. The technical documentation is most likely down the road and is not in the part of the role for the not on the quality management representative role. So as they have this not directly in the same area. So yeah, and that's the next question with liability. Yeah, there is no statement in the MDR for liability. So then we go into the our German book, the MDG, the Medical Device Regulation Durchführungsgesetz, which is quite cool. And then we look into the same article, and there is also no liability, same as it was for the safety representative. There was no liability claim in the law, so nothing which is be from the from needed for the court. And for that, in that court, the only thing is just within the inner liability from the company towards the safety representative or the PRC, which is like some kind of like bullshit bingo. It does not happen. So the only things which we are not liable, which we can be liable, or we have a problem with liability, is if you really do not follow the law. So take the law carefully, take care about it, and then it is really no liability. You just need to ensure that you do really what is expected. If you do that by a good way, you're not liable at all. And yes, the external consultant can be the PRC if the company is small enough. So there's a special regulation on that. I'm not 100% sure. I thought it was 50 people and 10 millions.
Yeah, it's mid-size, low and micro and mid-size company. No, can't remember if mid-size is also inside.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was 50 people and 10 millions of revenue per year.
Okay, but is it per country that regulation, or is it something that is general for Europe?
Sorry?
Because I don't know if it's the same for every country to say a mid-sized company or a low company is this number of people. So is it the same in all Europe, or each country has its own laws, if I can say, to define what is a small or mid-sized company?
Every country can decide the term or not, and in Europe there is a specific regulation which gives the size definitions.
Okay.
It's also mentioned in the PRC article number 15. There's also mentioned.
Yeah. So yeah, have a look at that. But yes, a consultant can be a PRC. A question I get also, but I think it was also raised on the guidance. Can I be a PRC for many manufacturing sites? And the answer is no. You have to have one PRC per site. Can I be a consultant PRC when the company is not located around me? Like I am living in France and the company is in Belgium. Can I be a PRC for this Belgian company as a consultant? So what is your opinion on that?
Sorry, I did not get the question. There was some lag in the...
Okay, so the question is, I am, for example, a consultant in France, and the company is located in Belgium, and they say, can you be my PRC consultant? Is it possible?
Technically, yes. But I would not recommend that, because you need to make... So for me, I will use a little, I'll have control, I need to have control about the technical documentation to affix the CE marking to make sure that it is correctly affixed. So for me, it is a very important thing that I have access to also the company structure and the company to go there quite often and make the same like the competent authority does, product audits. Okay. That is my understanding from that job. So to perform product audits and ensure that the chain of production is done together with the technical file and is correct. So the DMR check on the product and the DHF check for the DOC.
As you said, technically it's possible because you can travel, maybe commit to travel every week or every month to go there and to make those kind of activities. But yeah, it's just in case of audit, is it something that can be a problem for the auditor that the PRC is not located in the same country?
No,
But yeah.
no,
I mean, it's
no.
just a question of interpretation. Always, it's a question of interpretation. There can be some auditors that are more looking at wordings or interpreting in another way. So it's why it's important also to have this kind of information, I think, for people.
Yeah, so it is well. So sure, an auditor can discuss that, but there is no point in the regulation which tells specifically the PRC must be located in this or that language country.
Okay.
He must be trained, he must understand everything, but that's it. Yeah.
For the quality management system, remember we have the episode 59 with Stefan where we talked about how to create a QMS that is compliant to MDR. It gives you also some good information about which section of the MDR to look at when you are building your quality management system. Also for class 1 devices, because as we mentioned, class 1 devices has also to have a quality management system, but not specifically certified, but has to have one. And you have to go to Article 10 and check what are the requirements related to quality management system. So I let you go to this episode of the podcast. Okay, next one, PMS. So there is a PMS section which is big also. I think it's the biggest change for the MDR is really to have a big update of that. I mean, these are the procedure that I mostly updated a lot. Creation of a PMS plan, a PSUR, a CEP, a CER, a PMS plan or justification for no PMS, PMCF, a PMCF report, SSCP, implant card, all those things. So all things that have to be there. So there are a lot of things there. Now that I am MDR, I have created my PMS plan. Do I have to have a PSUR by date of application, or what is the idea here?
To have a periodic safety update report, it's a date of application. Personally, does not make sense.
Exactly. I mean, you plan something, so you have to make it work before you can gather the data. So, because there are people saying, "Oh, I need a PSUR for the date of application," I say, but you have planned on your plan that you will do that every year. So, gather the data during 1 year, and then you create your PSUR. So, it's maybe the answer.
Yeah. I had one notified body who asked me about said my company has no periodic safety update report available, and they also asked me about the SSCP. And for the PSUR, well, we do not have that yet because we have a template. Look here, that's my cool template, which is not needed at all because there is already an available template from the EU Commission available. So that's a cool template, but I have all my own one. Say, okay, that's it, what I want to use. Okay, fine. Say, okay, but it's not filled. Yes, it is not filled because it's not yet done. Okay, and you don't have a template for the SSCP and not an SSCP report. Yes, and then comes a funny thing. I do not. I only have class 2A devices. There is no SSCP. But that was some. I don't know if it was a problem of the specific auditor or how they do their. But that was a very funny discussion. Why I do not have that?
Yeah, I think it's as I said, everybody is learning. I think also the auditors are learning. They can ask questions, but as they are not working for the industry, they maybe have some difficulties to understand how the data are gathering and this and that. But as I said, we are all learning, so we should forgive them, if I can say, if they are making some interpretation of this kind of thing. PMCF.
It has been very good discussions with them, and most of the auditors have been very pragmatic currently, because they don't have time to follow up long leads. So they also have been very good approaches that, okay, what do you have for that kind of thing? It is not perfect, but it is 80%.
Exactly, Pareto.
yeah, that's my favorite Italian.
Exactly. PMCF plan, the same. PMCF plan, PMCF report. So you have to do the plan, and then you have to wait to gather the data from your plan to get the report done. Do you have an advice for people that says that I don't need a PMCF for justification?
Yeah. Personally, I always combine the clinical evaluation plan together with the PMCF plan into one document.
Okay.
We have everything from that included. So I start with a CEP, with clinical evaluation planning, then comes the CER with everything which is pre-market, and then I have at least either I have a specific outcome of my CEP which is not yet fulfilled. So the secondary endpoint or tertiary endpoint or whatever, which I need to follow up, or I have an open risk which I need to follow up with and to make sure that it does not happen. If I do not have open risks, I have a technology which I can control. I have control about everything in my CEP, and I just can justify that my CER is extremely perfect. Then I just say, okay, I do not have open gaps. I close my PMCF and only follow up on my regular CER update. I do not take additional methods. And then you can do that by a process quite good. For example, if you justify which is your product range, your product criticality for the patient, and then make specific updates what you want to do. For example, post-market clinical follow-up means gathering post-market data. That can be also done by surveys.
Yeah.
They can be done by, but be aware, surveys and data privacy, bad thing. And you can get all this kind of informations. So, for example, if you have a standalone software application which is shared by Google and Apple Play Store or whatever it is, then you can also take that kind of review rates. You get reviews and say, okay, I do not take more. I have a finalized complete risk analysis. I have a good ZR. Everything is stated that I'm pretty safe. And as long as my rate of review rate in my Play Store and whatever how the stores are called, if they do not drop below a certain rate, I'm fine and free of the PMZF to ensure that everything is included. That I can do. Then I make my vigilance data, everything else that I need to perform for my CER updates. That's it. But I always do the CER update every year.
Okay.
That's my personal recommendation. Always do that every year.
So yeah, gather data every year to be sure that the product is working well, that there is no new risks that are happening, etc. So I think it's a good practice. Okay, so I think here you have to really to be sure that you get the right information. The clinical data is really key for showing that your product is safe and performant. We have made also an episode with Natasha Bankowski, episode 41 about PMS. So if you want to have a look at it and understand better what is the post-marketing surveillance. Okay, next one is technical documentation. Wow, the big one. So for me, technical documentation is more to create a puzzle. So it's like you have all the different pieces of your puzzle, and you are starting now to create one document that is really gathering all those information. So there is a lot of things that should be available, like design, like pre-market, preclinical, PMS. The GSPR checklist is important. It's like the ERC checklist, so essential requirements checklist, but now it's called GSPR. There was a good white paper from BSI that is showing the correspondence between the essential requirements and GSPR. I really recommend that to look. And as soon as you have filled your GSPR and finalize your technical documentation, you can create your draft declaration of conformity to say that everything is compliant. So do you have some tips for people that want to create their technical documentation?
Yeah. My first thing is I go into the account saying about everything I did for MDD. And then I look deeply in the eyes of the owner of the technical documentation. Does he fulfill MDD in all extent? Where do you know where are your gaps? And then most likely can be, yes, I have a little flaw in maybe set point or something like that. Okay, fix it. Stop. And then, because then the transition is much, much smoother. And by that, I go forward. GSPR against the essential requirements can be compared in a very, very fast way. It is technically comparable. Use a student, he makes a line by line comparison, and then you have 80% filled. So 20% you need to update. For everything that you go with clinical data, start new. You have data, but the process will be a complete change, most likely. And then sorry, and then you go you go with a new clinical evaluation process, planning, and all of that. That makes everything with clinical studies and something like that apparently very good in shape and ensures that you will not miss one of the long lead times because clinical, if you need to prepare a clinical study, it will take a long time. That is something you need to ensure quite fast, and the GSPR will be then quite fast. Okay.
Yeah, I see a question here that's maybe interesting for you. It's about risk benefit profile. So how you are evaluating that. I have made something like that. I think I published that to say to make a bit of it comic, to say where is the how you find your benefit risk, and it's here because I read some technical documentation or CER, and it was not really obvious, or we didn't really understood why there is the benefit risk balance was okay. So do you have some tips for people on how to evaluate that?
That's a very cool sketch.
Yeah.
I perfect in that sense. I really do it that way. I make my I use all the clinical data I can gather. That means I know from the all clinical studies performed with my device, I know how many problems there have been occurred, and I know what their severity has been. And that is my risk benefit ratio. If I go with all my with all it was a BSI picture. Okay, if it was if I can go with all my information below that rate, what happened in all my studies, then I'm safe. And then I go to the specifically to the point where I find my improvement. And so then I have my negative baseline, and then I go with the positive baseline, the benefit, what will be the outcome for my patient. And that it can also be measured by defining the functionality of the device and improvement of speed. Okay, if I go for this, that's I need to shut down that commenting because it drives me crazy. Um, if if I go by the positive effect of my device compared to the other devices, so I have negative information from studies, and then I want to have the increase and the positive effects of my device. So I know my device is better because of the following functionality, the following parts or whatever, and then I make a technical comparison. What is my positive benefit on the patient, and how does that help? Is it faster curing? Is my procedure not taking so many the same risks as the other procedures? Is my procedure faster than the other one? Does is a faster procedure in operation make most likely has an increase of the better performance of the physician using it. So you can have a secondary benefit out of it, and that set will be together will be my risk benefit. It is not a statement. It's not a simple statement where I go one line or two lines. That does not work out. It goes on the ways that I need a specifically comparison about the clinical data available on the negative side against the positive side where I will be better. And that is my risk benefit.
Yeah, actually, there is no standard existing. I find that pharma has that or has some guidance. I find also from one of my colleagues in France, so from the website Qualityzo, they have it's a French website. They have a training about how to define benefit risk, and the methodology is good. They are creating an experimental standard in France specifically for that, so it's French. But I hope they will maybe translate that in English. There is a lot of calculation inside. They are really telling you how to make the calculation of the risk or the benefits, then with some formulas how to define the benefit risk. But yeah, it's something that is not existing. So some companies have to create that by themselves and define the best methodology that can be used to define that. But just writing in a sentence that here are all my risk, everything is fine. There is no my risks are lower than the benefit, etc. I mean, there is no facts. There is just a sentence. It's not really enough, but it's what I saw mainly on some technical files, which is why we are just warning about that. Okay, next one, because now we are nearly at 1 hour. Economic operators. You have still to review a bit of the agreements with the economic operators to check that they are doing a great job, because if they are not able to comply with the MDR, you are not able to sell your product. So you have to check that. If the agreements are correct, if what they will be doing when they will resell your products are correct, like the distributors and importers. Also, if the economic operators, if the authorized representative have a PLC or not available, if it has everything in place for complying the MDR. So there is a lot of things that they should check. It is still under the responsibility of the economic operators to comply with the MDR. But as I've said, as you are the manufacturer, as you are taking the risk to send the products to them, if they are not compliant, then your products will not go to the market. So did you have to review those kind of agreements or those kind of economic operators?
Yes, I had that very often times that I need to review that, but it is a very hot topic. In the
Okay.
end of the day, compared to the rest of it, yes, it is a long lead time because you need to agree with a different outside party. It's a long lead time, but in the complete transition, it is not a big thing. It's a
Okay.
complete transition. That's only a small thing. So what you need to increase is awareness, for example, for a distributor and the importer, that they are very important. So for that is something which they need to be aware of and what they need to do. But in the overall of the complete costs of the project, that's a small thing.
Okay.
And well, if you live in Switzerland, you can consider yourself as an outside of Europe. Sorry, I needed to say that.
Yeah, it's for those that didn't follow. So yeah, I said that also during the last live for in Switzerland. There is maybe no agreement for MDR with the European Union. So then the MDR, the companies in Switzerland have to now appoint an authorized representative in Europe and an importer in Europe. So this is something that they have to do. I mean, from the letter of Swissmedic, it was it's a worst case. So I don't know if they will find a solution, but apparently the solution is not really coming. So at the end, it means that please take the lead and look for now for an authorized representative, look for an importer, and that you will be ready to continue to sell your products in Europe by date of application. Because the MDD was in the agreement, but not the MDR. So it's the change.
Yeah.
And it was one of the pitfalls also that we discussed with Angelina, the political thing. So Swixit, as we called it, it's not really a Swixit. It's just that, as I said, the MDR is not on the agreement, so it's why you have to be ready for that.
Yes. Yeah, and Angelina is best case for that because she's a Swiss lady.
Yeah, exactly. So next one is don't forget training. You have to train your people on MDR. So usually what I'm doing is kind of 3 levels of training. Is executive trainings where I really show them what are the effects of MDR, also in terms of business and in terms of strategy, so that they can really understand. A quality and regulatory affairs team training, which is more a deep dive on more the PMS, PMCF, etc., all the things that people have to do. And then all other employees training, just as an awareness training for the employees, because I don't think all the employees, like maybe people from manufacturing or this, have to understand how a PMS is working or how a PMCF is working or this kind of thing. So no need to bother them with those kind of things. So this is kind of the structure that I'm doing on my trainings. And apparently it's working well because, yeah, we are really taking more time on really what is important instead of taking time of things that they are not really interested about. Do you also perform the trainings with your customers?
Sure. If I can freely define how the training shall be, which is in most cases not the case, because mostly the company has a training system and a training profile. If I can define it by myself, then I do it the following way. Same way, executive has a very broad level. Yes, we need to be compliant to MDRs. This is your topics which are interesting for you. That's the roles, the new roles you will pay for, and
Exactly.
this is your business you can do afterwards, and that is why it is important, and that is why we already had your commitment to go with that project. That was executive. And then quality and regulatory affairs team is the biggest thing because there is the pot of gold. There is everything needed. And for all others, I do the following. And I take all trainings which I can do with MDR for everything, like every small, create very, very small trainings. really small trainings about a specific topic, 3 or 4 slides, that's all. 10-20 minute trainings, and every of the employees gets a specific role-based training plan. And since I do it in very small lessons, I can simply
It's like
align
puzzles.
with
Yeah, it's like
yes, yes, a
exactly.
Google matrix.
You create a custom one for each of them because they need that. They need that. It's like a recipe. They need that. So here is for you. Here is for
Yes,
you. Here is for you. So it's great.
yes. And that is also fixing up with the internal processes, because regulatory and quality defines the internal processes, and these processes will be pushed that training.
Okay. So yeah, I
So
think training. I think is also a piece that people have to understand that need to be done during an MDR project or IVDR. I always say MDR, but it's also IVDR. It's not. It's really
yeah,
the
yes,
but, it's why all what we have said today is applicable for MDR, IVDR. There is some acronyms that will change. PMCF is not existing. It's PMPF, if I remember, or something like that.
yes,
But all the rest is always
performance evaluation.
the same. Yeah, the training is one thing. And can the auditor ask if the employees are trained on MDR?
Sure. Sure. Well, he can ask if they are trained for MDR, and then you can answer the following thing. They are not trained on MDR, they are trained to follow our internal processes.
Okay.
Because that is the most important thing. If you have all your processes aligned with MDR and they follow your processes, they don't need to know about MDR. So for example, I know a few companies, for example, software companies or electronic as well, they do not know about 60601-1 or 62304. They simply need to know how to follow the process, and quality and regulatory needs to ensure that the processes are aligned with MDR and fulfill MDR or IVDR and fulfill all required standards for that. So in that case, it's defined how well you want to define it and what you have done. If you don't have specific MDR training, you can say no, you trained processes. If you have specific MDR training, so you can clearly say yes, you did it. In my case, I have my small trainings, which are topics by MDR written into processes. So it's for me, it's equalized.
Okay. I have just the comment from Ferg where he said, I like the all other employees. Yeah, it's not to be pejorative or to say that they are not good people. It's just to say that, yeah, there are people that are not, their initial job is not focused on MDR. It's focused on the procedure. So as Stefan said, as soon as they say that they are trained to execute through procedures, I think it's also a good way to show that you are complying to MDR. Okay, last thing I think on my list is audit. So while we are waiting for the audit, please continue to monitor the MDR, IVDR changes. I mean, you've seen maybe every week or every month we have a new thing that is coming, a new MDCG guidance or a corrigendum or an information about this or an information about that. So don't just update your procedures and then say, oh, it's finalized, because there is maybe some changes that are happening. This is not a mature process in terms of execution, because it will be starting to be executed really on May 26, 2020. So don't just then close your eyes and say, now I'm just waiting for application. No, continue to monitor what is happening, what's happening. Then during the audit, answer just the auditor's question. And if you answer good, you have no non-conformities. If you have maybe missed something, then you can have some NCs to close. But as we've said also during our podcast, what was your sentence? You have to worry, but what was the thing? If you have an NC report, you have to worry, but you don't have to.
Should not panic. You should not panic.
Yeah, you should not panic, but you have to worry, but not to panic. So it's
Yeah.
it's like that. So just try to answer the NCs. If you have an NCs, does it impact also the timeline to get your certificate? Do you need to close the NCs to get your certificate?
Well, technically, no. You need to ensure that the auditor understands your response and you can fix it in a certain time frame and he accepts it. But it's easier mostly since you go onto the new regulation from the directive to the regulation, it's most likely easier to fix the problem because you do not have to follow then the problem in the second report, and that's easier. Timely speaking, easier. And yes, if you have an NC, your Yes, it will increase the time you need for the certification because you will have to follow up on the report on your audits, the auditor's findings. You have to make your own root cause analysis, your analysis, what you want to do, your corrective and preventive actions, and describe that. So until you do not have described to the auditor, this is my response. I will do it the following way. Is that acceptable for you? Can we do it that way? And he agrees. Until that is not done, he will not forward your report to the certification board or his supervisor. So that will delay. So
Okay,
be quick.
so yeah, be quick to answer. Yeah, as soon as you have the report, don't wait 1 week or 2 weeks to answer. Immediately have I call that a crisis meeting, the evening of the audits. Spend the whole weekend to find a solution, and on Monday just provide answers so that it can be quick for them.
Yeah, but in all the times, also an auditor isn't human.
Yeah, exactly.
So we all need to speak to each other and make a good communication to ensure that everyone understands it in the same way. If we do that and do that good, then it is quite easy and we will come quicker to the solution than if we don't do that. So
Great. So
discussion
don't.
and open discussion with the auditor. And afterwards, you have done that and he submits everything, then annoys them.
Yeah, push them. Push.
Push them nicely.
Okay, so it's the end. So thank you, Stefan, for helping on that. I think we answered also all the questions from the people on the chat. Thank you also for all the people that were on this chat. I will try to have more of those lives. I cannot give you a frequency for now. I'm trying to plan some others, so I'm contacting also some other people that we can do this kind of exercise again. As I said, we are learning, so it's something that can be a bit painful at the beginning, but now I think we are improving. Last time we had technical issues. Now I'm trying to find a solution to solve those technical issues, so it's good, it can work. So Stefan, any last comment or last advice for people that are building their MDR or IVDR project or upgrades?
The perfect response on that is just call me. But no, keep calm, look into all you have achieved, celebrate what you have achieved, and go for the rest.
But it's good also, yeah. I think people can call us directly if they have some questions,
Yes.
just in case they need some clarification or for maybe what we talked today also. Please send me a message if you need some clarification about what we said. I saw that they were talking about the BSI white paper for the GSPR, the comparison between essential requirements and GSPR. If I have time, I will try to find it and put that maybe on the comments of this live. So people can see that. But yeah, I use that as a document to make just my comparison, so it's a good one. But yeah, if there is any other things, so please let us know. Okay, Stefan. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for your help, and for all the people on the live on the chat. So thank you for your participation also and your interaction. As I've said, I want really to make these lives interactive. So if you have questions, we can really see them and we can answer to them directly. Apparently it's disturbing sometimes, Stefan, so to speak and to look at the comments. So we have also to organize that and see how we can do that. So we can do that. Because what I want to propose you is that you don't look for the comments, I look for them and I ask you the question that is on the comments also. So let's do that maybe for next time. Okay, Stefan, so thank you for your participation and talk to you another time.
Yeah. Wish you
Bye.
all a nice weekend.
Bye. Nice weekend, everybody.